Everybody, and welcome to Astro Tap, the place where we use astrology to tap into your destiny. So today we're going to talk about the rising sign, and the rising sign can also be called the ascendant. So bear this in mind when you're checking out your own birth chart, and also if you hear me switching from rising sign to ascendant in this video, because I have a tendency to do that, it means the same thing. So the rising sign is a sign that was rising on the western horizon at the moment you were born, and I specify it's the moment you were born. So to know your rising sign, you need your time of birth and your place of birth, and it's so important to get these accurate because the rising sign changes approximately every 2 hours. So when you were born and you took in that first breath, you were breathing in the qualities of that rising sign. It's your first impressions of the world. And whatever sign your rising sign falls in was the energy you felt when you first became a human being. So the rising sign is how you see the world. So it's the filter that you see the world through. It's the best way you know how to navigate your life. And as we know, life is a mirror. So the energy that you put out is the energy that you get back. So your rising sign is also the way that you appear to other people. Now, the rising sign is so important in your birth chart because the rising sign really is the door into your reality, and it's also the doors into each house in your natal birth chart. So for instance, first house, rising sign, first door, you. The way you navigate the world and the way that you appear to others. Second house, your value systems. What in life do you need to feel secure and to feel stable? Third house, your mindset, your communication, and so on and so on. But to build this house system and understand your birth chart at a personal level, this rising sign builds up the rest of your birth chart. And because the rising sign has a lot to do with your first impressions, it has a lot to do with your first steps in life. So it can also indicate the energy around your childhood. And the rising sign can also indicate your physical appearance. So a lot of people will hold physical traits from their rising sign, and this makes it so much easier for people to guess your rising sign before they actually guess like your sun sign or your moon sign or your Venus sign, because the rising sign really guards those more intimate placements. The rising sign can also indicate the energy around your birth, so your journey down the birth canal, and the rising sign can also indicate the way that you rise every morning, so the way that you wake up. Because when you open your eyes in the morning, a new day is born. So a lot can be said about somebody's morning routine when you look at their rising sign. Now, another thing to take into consideration is the planet that rules your rising sign. So for instance, if you're an Aries rising, Mars is the planet that rules your rising sign. And whatever planet rules your rising sign is actually your whole chart ruler. So every house will have a little aspect of this Mars energy. Now, we're not really going to go into this in this video, but I will tell you each planet that rules each sign, and I will do a future video on this. Another thing to take into consideration is if you have your birth chart handy, check whether you have any planets conjunct your ascendant. Now, a conjunct means any planets 10 degrees away from your ascendant. I'll pop a chart example up here or here. And as you can see in this chart, it is my chart because I am a prime example for this, because as you can see, I have Uranus conjunct the ascendant, Neptune conjunct the ascendant, the moon conjunct the ascendant, and the north node conjunct the ascendant. Now, any planets that are conjunct the ascendant in the 12th house, you will have some past life connection to those planets and those energies. So for instance, my persona will be very Capricorn-esque, so Saturn-like, Neptune-like, and Uranian-like. So it's a bit of a mixed bag there. And any planets underneath, you will have those traits, but they will be less seen and more personal to you. Again, I will do a future video on this just to explain this a bit better, but it is something to check out. And if you do find that you have any planets conjunct your ascendant, check the sign that goes with each planet, and you can also watch the video for that sign as well. So in this video, I will go through your general traits, your physical appearance regarding your rising sign, your journey down the birth canal. I will try and predict that. Maybe you want to chat to your mum or something to find out the deets, and how you rise and shine each morning. But first, I will be showing you a few celebrities which share your rising sign, just so that you have some examples. And I've chosen reality TV stars because the rising sign is that first sign that people are going to see when they meet you. And as mentioned, you are hiding your more intimate chart placements behind that rising sign. So when you're a reality TV star, you are probably going to show the traits of your rising sign before you get to the nitty gritty, like the moon sign. So you may see someone's moon sign if they get triggered, but day to day when they've got a camera in their face, you're gonna see their rising sign. Virgo risings and Virgo ascendants. Let's have a look at the reality TV stars which share your rising sign. So we've got Spencer Matthews from Made in Chelsea, the powerhouse that is Kris Jenner from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and we have Molly May Hague from Love Island. Now you are an earth sign rising sign, so you are all about that material kind of value. You understand the importance of hard work, and you understand that hard work brings you stability. So when it comes to the planet that rules your rising sign, it's a bit difficult because naturally Mercury rules Virgo, but I've heard from other astrologers, and I totally agree with this, that Chiron could also be your co-ruling planet. So Mercury naturally is quite a erratic planet. It's the closest planet to the sun, and it rules your mental space, your mindset, your communication. Now I do feel like Virgo does have that aspect of an erratic mindset because your minds are so powerful. You're constantly analyzing, like you take in compulsive amounts of information for analyzation. But also I feel like Chiron works really well for Virgo as well, because Chiron is the wounded healer. Now Chiron gets a bad rap because it has wounding connected to it, but Virgos, you guys have the ability to be the masters in your field, and you do tend to find your powers hiding underneath your wounds, because Virgo is that sign of pulling everything apart and perfecting it, then putting it all back together. You see a wound, you can't ignore it because you feel anxiety because of that wound. So you take that wound and you work on that wound and you perfect that wound and you make it a strength. Now this is Chiron energy. This is what Chiron does. Wherever Chiron is in your chart is where you are wounded. But it's that wound that you work through and you transform it into a strength to help other people. In my eyes, that is so Virgo. It's like Virgo can either crumble under the wound or face the wound head on and sort it the shit out. And a lot of the time you Virgos do that. You sort it out and you become absolute powerhouses, just like Kris Jenner. You're also a mutable sign, so you understand that there's ebb and flows in life and you like to ride those waves. You're not afraid of change, and you also understand it's very important to be successful at something to be malleable. So you are very organized, helpful and practical. And there's a big emphasis on daily routine and health with you guys, because naturally you rule the 6th house of work routine and health. So you go through life in an organized manner. Everything needs a plan. So when it comes to a relationship, you need to plan and perfect that relationship. When it comes to a job, you need to plan and perfect your position in that job. Like everything goes through constant analyzation. Now, this can be quite a heavy rising sign to have, because you don't ever get a moment to breathe and you don't ever get a day off. Everything can always be better. And that's the issue, because no one's perfect and there is no such thing as perfection. And perfection is different from everyone's eyes. And you know this because you're a mutable sign and you switch things up for different perspectives. But because perfection never exists and you're always working towards perfection, well, you're always gonna be working Virgo risings need to have a very comfortable relationship with work. If you don't enjoy the job that you do, you're going to get bogged down very quickly and you might just say, no, this is too heavy and it's too much to carry. But if you've got a healthy relationship with work and you choose avenues in life which inspire you and you're really interested in, you have the ability to be the absolute masters in your field. And this goes with Virgo suns, Virgo moons, but Virgo risings in particular. You have this perfectionistic attitude to every single aspect of your life. You are the closest to perfect that a human being on earth can ever reach. So that's pretty fucking cool. Now, life isn't worth living if there's no goals to work towards. So you will go crazy if you are not working towards something. You always have to have something going on, even if it's just a leisurely drive to the shops. Like, you may be the kind of person that whenever you have a moment's silence, you need to fill that silence. You are literally like the can-do-it-all superhuman. If you are a Virgo rising working at your highest ability, you have that inhuman kind of nature because you will dress to perfection. And people will look at your life and they will just see that everything is so organized and they'll think, how does Virgo rising do that? How do I be more like Virgo rising? And you say to them, well, you can't because you're not Virgo rising. That's really unfair. Like, people can still be organized without a Virgo rising, but not like you. Like, no one can match your organization and your perfectionism. Virgo risings are the people that you want on your work team. They're there for quality control. They're going to notice things that most signs will not notice. And this makes them quite critical. So at times, the Virgo rising does need to be aware when they're actually offending someone. Because Virgo is all about service, they think telling somebody about their imperfections is helping them. But a lot of the time, people are already aware of those imperfections, but they just don't have the eye for detail that you do or the need for perfectionism that you do. So as a Virgo rising, it is really important to choose your words wisely and be careful with some people because you see it as helping them and they see it as criticism. And also because of this superhuman nature, you can come across as quite cold and calculating, so a bit inhumane, which is really good when it comes to business because you guys are natural businessmen and women. Like Kris Jenner, you have the ability to build a multi-million-pound empire. And the big thing about Virgo rising is a lot of people in very high places will want to hire you because you have the skill set that could actually make them very successful. So it's so important, Virgo risings, that you are aware of your potential because you want to be making that dollar for you, not making it for someone else. As a Virgo rising, you are as critical of yourself as you are of others. And you would never put the pressure on other people that you wouldn't put on yourself. So I think most people could be shocked to find that out because they'll be like, whoa, you've put so much pressure on me. And you're like, that's nothing compared to the pressure that I put upon myself. So when it comes to your appearance, absolutely flawless. Isn't that a song? Absolutely flawless. You're so well put together, not a hair will be out of place. You're the kind of people who do winged eyeliner and get it spot on every single time because you want to fix everything and you're so detail orientated. So when you look in the mirror, you see everything. You see every pore. You may be someone who is likely to get a lot of work done. So maybe plastic surgery, even like a lot of treatment. So as I mentioned about the pores on your skin, you'll see that and you'll be like, right, how do I minimize these pores? When a lot of people won't even look at the pores on their skin. But you do have this very stern, strong Iron Man, Iron Lady kind of vibe to you. So you may be very conservative by nature, dress conservatively, and you could rely on the same look. Like, you know, a certain look works for you, so you don't really want to change that. And because you've had that look for so long, you've managed to perfect that look. So you could be the kind of person who's had the same haircut for 20 years, but the haircut is just so incredibly, I mean, not even a split end in sight. because you know how to work that hair and you get the same haircut from the same hairdresser, you know it works and it's effective. Also, because of the Mercury influence, you could have smaller features. I do find that a lot of Virgo risings have kind of smaller slitty eyes, like inset eyes as well, so you may not actually have a lot of eyelid on show, which is actually really easy to do eye makeup with inset eyes, because look at all the eyelid I've got. Look at all that eyelid. And I can't even do eyeshadow very well, and it's the bane of my life. But yeah, Virgo risings don't tend to have a lot of eyelid on show, and I do think that a lot of Virgo risings also tend to have quite thick eyelashes. Comment down below if you agree with that statement, because all the Virgo risings I know do have quite long, thick eyelashes. But genuinely, you are non-expressive, so you can be very robotic. You don't tend to have many facial expressions. Like, you tend to be someone who's quite hard to read, and you don't really move around a lot. You tend to stay very still when you talk. Everything's controlled with a Virgo rising, including your expressions. Like, you have the natural poker face. So your trip down the birth canal, you may have been on time even when it comes to your due date. Look, a Virgo rising doesn't want to be late. They don't want to be early and they don't want to be late. If you tell them to be there at 9:30, they will be there at 9:30. And that's the same when it comes to your due date. You probably came on the day. And it would have been a very straight to the point birth, like bish bash bosh baby. And I can't imagine your birth had many complications. I can imagine you being a very manageable baby down the birth canal. Like, you've got this. You know the direction that you need to go in, and you're just going to go in that direction and get to the end goal, which is out of the vajayjay. And I think this manageability probably goes into your childhood as well. I can imagine you were a child that didn't need too much maintenance. Like, you wanted to be very independent as a child. But because of this manageability, I do think your mum may have not required pain relief. I feel like it could have been a very practical and straight to the point birth. So when it comes to how you rise and shine in the morning, you tend to sleep solid when you do, and you trust in your body to tell you how much sleep you need. But because of this solid sleep, you do seem to require an alarm. So you may be somebody who sets multiple alarms because you're so anxious that you're not going to wake up in the morning. So you may have about 4 or 5 alarms to get you up that go off every like 10 minutes. And again, because of this solid sleep, it may take you a little bit longer to wake up properly. Yet, you don't need excessive amounts of sleep. So 6 to 8 hours for a Virgo rising seems to be enough for them so that they can just get on with their day. And you thrive when you have a morning routine. You need a morning routine. That's the kind of stuff that keeps you sane. You may even incorporate an exercise routine in there or a cold shower. But you know you're most productive when you're happy, so you may be the type of person who likes to cook yourself a luxury breakfast in the morning or pick up a nice treat from Starbucks on the way to work. So you like to start your day off with a smile. So that is your rising sign, and I hope you found this video to be interesting and informative. If you resonate, please comment down below and drop me a like if you like this video. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe, because I would love to see more of you, and I shall see you next time. Bye.